You're 30,000 feet in the air. The plane is on autopilot. Everything is normal. And then, without warning, the captain of the flight simply vanishes. Not over the ocean, not in a crash. He disappeared from his own cockpit, mid-flight. This is the chilling case of Captain Glenn Miller, name modified for fictional purposes, and the flight that defies logic. A plane flying perfectly well with an experienced co-pilot, where one man ceases to exist. We're going to dissect the radio recordings, the baffling technical data, and the unthinkable theories. By the end, you'll have to decide, how does a human being disappear from a moving airplane cabin? It was a routine cross-country flight, Flight 447. Captain Miller was a veteran, over 20,000 flight hours, calm, steady, and by all accounts, perfectly healthy. The co-pilot, First Officer Sarah Jones, was handling the early leg. Everything was textbook. They reached cruising altitude, the autopilot engaged, and the atmosphere in the cockpit was relaxed. At 2:17 a.m. Central Time, Captain Miller made his final radio transmission to Indianapolis Center. A simple, calm check-in. But 3 minutes later, when the controller attempted to hand them off to the next sector, they received only silence.
The ground controller tried again and again. Nothing. A major commercial airliner, now a silent metallic ghost streaking across the night sky. First Officer Jones tried the captain's internal comms. Still nothing. She immediately left her seat to check the forward galley and lavatories. Captain Miller was gone. The cockpit door was still locked from the inside.
The first officer's internal distress call was arguably the most terrifying broadcast in aviation history. Imagine her isolation. She was alone at the controls, responsible for over 200 lives, and the person who was supposed to be her backup had just evaporated. Search and rescue was alerted. Fighter jets were scrambled to visually inspect the plane. What they saw added a new layer to the terror. The plane was flying perfectly,
all right, team, pull it back slowly.
Stable,
Confirmed.
but the cockpit
Watch the
was
edges.
dark. The curtains
We
were
have visual on the
drawn.
casing.
The question for investigators was immediate and agonizing. Where in the world could a 200-pound man go inside a pressurized aluminum tube at 30,000 feet? The investigation immediately centered on 4 primary theories. We have to address the seemingly impossible first. Theory 1, structural failure or accidental ejection. Modern airliners are pressurized. To open a door, even a small hatch, mid-flight, is a physical impossibility. The pressure differential is immense. Some early speculation focused on a freak decompression event that might have sucked the captain out, but the aircraft sensors showed the cabin pressure was perfectly normal. If a section of the plane had failed structurally, the damage would have been catastrophic and immediate. Furthermore, the first officer, who was sitting right next to him, felt nothing. This theory holds no weight. Theory 2, a medical emergency. Could Captain Miller have suffered an immediate incapacitating medical event, a massive stroke or heart attack? This is the most common explanation for pilot incidents. But a body doesn't just disappear. If he collapsed, the body would be in the footwell or slumped in the seat. The first officer specifically stated the seat was empty. The only way this works is if the captain had enough time and presence of mind immediately after the event to walk out of the cockpit and somehow become lost or trapped in a restricted area of the plane. This remains highly unlikely. If you're captivated by these deep dive mysteries, hit that subscribe button. We unlock a new unsolved case every single week. Don't miss our next video on the mystery of the glow-in-the-dark UFOs. Now, back to the chilling case of the vanishing pilot.
Theory 3. The human element. Intentional action. This is the darkest path the investigators had to follow. Suicide. Did Captain Miller intentionally leave the cockpit, perhaps to access the cargo hold or a maintenance area, and then harm himself? While no pilot wants to admit it, this has happened before, but the evidence here is contradictory. Captain Miller showed no signs of distress, depression, or erratic behavior leading up to the flight. No final notes, no strange phone calls. But then there's one unsettling detail. The first officer reported the cockpit door was locked when she returned from the cabin. If Miller left, who locked the door after him? This seemingly small detail shreds the suicide theory. Theory 4. The intruder hypothesis. The most sensational theory, and the one that has fueled online speculation for years, involves an intruder. Someone stowed away or hidden in a restricted area, who somehow incapacitated or removed the captain, perhaps forcing him into the cargo hold or a pressurized avionics bay. But again, the facts fight back. Post-incident inspections found no signs of struggle, no forced entry, and no unauthorized personnel on the flight manifest. The only evidence left was the plane flying flawlessly and the captain's flight log sitting open with his pen resting on the last entry. The search for Captain Miller and any possible wreckage or evidence was massive. They scoured the ground below the plane's final known trajectory. They interviewed every maintenance crew member, every baggage handler, and every flight attendant. And they found nothing. The plane landed safely in New York, controlled masterfully by the first officer who had gone through hell. The greatest minds in aviation safety, the FBI and the NTSB, all came to the same unsettling conclusion. The available evidence does not support any single theory. It remains an open-ended wound in aviation history. A man in one of the world's most controlled environments vanished into thin air. His fate is unknown. The cause is unknown. And the only thing we know for sure is that on that night, the impossible happened. The official report ends with a chilling statement. Captain Miller disappeared by means not determined. And the haunting question remains, was it a technical flaw no one saw coming, or a brief, secret moment of human action that no one can explain? Let us know your theory in the comments below.